What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about buying a salvage car and what do you got to look for basically. So you want to flip a car. There's thousands of cars that you could buy on Copart and other auctions and places where you can go. So what do you look for? Well, it really depends on your capabilities. So that means basically what tooling you have and what knowledge you have. So if you don't have, a welder, a frame machine, you're basically limited to, specific makes and models and, very minimal damage. Sometimes it could look a lot worse than it actually is, and sometimes it could look a lot better than it actually is. So, there's obviously risks that come with buying a car sight unseen, really, besides some pictures, and trying to make money on it. Personally, I prefer to buy cars that are wrecked in the front. There are a few reasons for that. The biggest reason is fenders are removable. You can easily replace them. Hoods, all that stuff, you can easily just unbolt and bolt a new one to it. Instead of side damage where you got the pillars that you have to worry about, or rear end damage where you got the quarter panels that are much harder to replace than a fender. So that's my reasoning behind it. And obviously I personally don't have as much experience replacing quarter panels and stuff like that. I know I can weld, I know I can do it. I just know that it would take me a lot longer than fixing a car that just has some front end damage. Now, if you don't have a welder or a frame machine, you're limited to buying cars that are they have a removable radiator support in the front, and B, they have minor damage to where the frame rails aren't bent. So you got to look for those two things. Now, the main thing when looking for frame damage is you got to check out the reinforcement bar underneath the bumper. That is bolted directly to frame rails on cars. So if that is bent significantly, then most likely the rails will be off. Either tweaked to the side, or if it's a direct hit, it'll just be smashed a little bit somewhere. There's usually a crumple zone. On newer cars, they tend to make the crumple zones farther up front. Versus older cars, they are, like my GTO that I'm rebuilding, the crumple zone on that passenger side rail was all the way back by the strut tower. So I actually had to cut all that off and weld a new one in. Now, I would highly recommend, having a welder and being able to weld if you're going to be rebuilding salvage cars. That opens up the door to a lot of cars that you wouldn't be able to buy if you couldn't weld. Like one of my favorite cars to rebuild, a 13 to 18 Honda Accord. You find one that's just hit above the rails, above the bumper reinforcement, and that radiator support is actually really easy to replace. It looks hard, but with some skill and a little bit of time, you can get that thing replaced in I've done it in as fast as a day, where I've pulled a car in, taken it apart, cut the radiator support off, put a new one in, welded it in, and got it all painted up so the radiator support's done, ready for assembly the next day. That's really quick, I think. Maybe not, I don't know. But that's basically the main thing you got to look for. And obviously it's going to be easier for you to know whether the frame was damaged, know what you're getting into if you've dealt with this car before. Again, that's why I personally like to fix those Accords, is because I've done a lot of them, and I know, when I see it on the auction, just a few pictures, I can roughly estimate, what I'm going to need to buy for it. And that's very beneficial to me, because You know, I could have all the parts ready essentially when the car is there and then just knock it out. Let's jump into this video. We'll be fixing a 17 Honda Accord. And I'll kind of explain to you what I'm talking about here as far as frame rails and as far as, you know, what you have to look for. So as you can see on this car, the rails are untouched. That is a very good thing because, you know, if these rails get bent, then there's no way to really fix it right without putting it on a, there's no way to fix it right without putting it on a frame machine. So this is what we like to do. Just buy a car that's hit, you know, it looked pretty bad. This is what it looked like before. You know, with just a little bit of work, I've been working on this thing for maybe 2 hours. And it's already looking a lot better. So everything that's removed off of the car right now is all part of the radiator support, which here is the old one. That's the old one, and then here's the new one. Obviously, you know, the new one's not damaged. So the second most important thing is you guys got to know the, you know, laws around getting salvage cars, because for me in Ohio, I have to pass a salvage inspection after the car is complete. And this isn't much of a hassle. It's just I have to have all the receipts for the car. That, you know, all the parts that I replaced, I have to have receipts. They basically check if anything has been stolen for some weird reason. I don't know who's out here stealing, you know, 13 Honda Accord parts, but hey, I guess it is what it is. So you got to make sure you have all the receipts in Ohio, as well as you have to make sure that the airbags have been replaced and you have receipts for those. And you got to make sure the car has a horn and, you know, all the lights work, stuff like that. And you also have to, the car also can't have any sharp edges, meaning, meaning that, you know, if you have like a broken bumper that's been shattered, you know, and it's got a bunch of jagged edges, you can't really pass inspection with that. You'd have to replace it. So basically that's how you narrow it down. I would say if I had no experience with cars, I would probably, so this video is targeted at people who, you know, have some experience working on cars and who, what's up, Milo? Who have some experience working on cars and who have, you know, at least some basic tools. You don't really need a whole lot of different tools. The welder is like the most, you know, expensive tool that you're gonna need. If you don't get into frame damage, then you're gonna have to have a frame machine to be able to pull it out. But yeah, the welder is really the most expensive thing, I think. Besides like hand tools, you know, obviously if you have power tools, it makes the job go a little faster, a little bit easier. But it's not required. You can do this easily with a set of ratchets and, you know, some sockets, screwdrivers, you know, clip pullers, stuff like that. You don't need, you know, this extensive tools chest. So I hope this video helped you guys out. If you don't know anything about working on cars and you don't and you have no tools, no nothing like that, I wouldn't say don't do it, but I would say don't expect to make a profit right away, because there is a lot of expenses that you do have to find, and especially if you don't have any friends that work on cars or, you know, that have these connections, you're gonna get overcharged for basically everything. Like painting the car, you know, we send the cars out to one of my good friends who paints for us. It's just, you know, if you don't have those connections, you are going to be paying a lot more than you would if you did. So, you know, you're not going to be making as much of a profit, and, you know, first couple cars you might not make any profit because you just have to jump through all these hoops to be able to find, you know, those people that are going to be able to help you out when you need it. So I hope this helps you guys. Like this video, share this video. Also, subscribe to the channel. It does help out a lot. You know, keeps me motivated, and I think I got some cool cars and cool projects going on. So yeah, just you know, follow the channel, and hopefully I can step up the quality of the content as well as the quantity of the content, and we'll be, you know, doing some cool stuff in the future. Thank you guys. Peace.